Oh, jams. Welcome, one and all, to this week's episode of Sharpen the Saw. We are on show 32, I believe, of Sharpen the Saw at the Wise Agent Society. And we have a very special guest today, Jess Kettleson from Real Clear Settlement. Based out of, I know you're in like the Cedar Falls area.
Yeah, I'm up in Waverly.
Yeah. Waverly. Oh, have we talked about that? That's so funny. We should talk about Waverly another time offline.
Consider done.
I have good friends up in the vicinity. But anyway, Jess is the general manager there at Real Clear and runs the show for all things closing and settlement in the Iowa area in Des Moines.
Yep.
With the state of Iowa, probably, right?
Yeah, pretty much anywhere in the state of Iowa. We have offices in Des Moines, Pella, Cedar Rapids, Cedar Falls, Lamar's. So we're kind of spread out everywhere in the state of Iowa.
How about, did you say Quad Cities?
We're not in the Quad Cities. So if somebody's listening and they know of somebody that wants to join our team in there, we're happy to take them on, but we have not ventured over that far. We can still do business over there, but we just don't have an office over there.
Yeah, okay, cool. Hang on one sec here. I know this is weird, but I didn't realize that I still had classical music playing in the background, and I'm hearing this opera singer singing in the background.
I couldn't hear it at least, so if that helps you out.
Good. It was just distracting to me only, so that's good. So today, this is kind of how it works. I'd like to tell everybody that we're going to talk a little bit about how Jess and I know each other. Then we're going to talk a little bit about Jess's journey and how she's gotten into this role and where she's at and what she did before. And then we're going to go into all of the good things, ins and outs of the closing and settlement process in Iowa, which is super unique because we are one of 2 states in the country that have abstracts. So we'll talk a little bit about that too, and we'll get all into it, right?
Love it.
Yeah. Now, the way we met was, I believe, through Michelle Turns found you somehow, some way. Do you know how you guys got connected?
I think Michelle has been to one of our classes before, so we teach a lot of classes online, and so she kind of popped in there, knew of our name, and then had a transaction with us, and then it kind of blew up from there. Then we became good friends. Now I talk to her probably like every other day.
Whoop, whoop. Michelle is super awesome. She's an excellent realtor in the Des Moines area. She's very smart, very knowledgeable. So always use her as a resource to everybody out there. She's great. And then she introduced us. So I've been struggling since I've been in Iowa to find a closing and settlement company that also does TC work. And then not only just regular TC work, but really what the way I like to describe it is transaction coordination, where they coordinate the entire transaction, not just pieces of it. Because I found so many companies that will do parts of the closing. Like what I'm used to on the West Coast is not doing paperwork. So I give all of my stuff to the escrow title companies and my transaction coordinators, and they literally handle all the paperwork, like all of it. So here I was having a hard time finding a place that would actually take all of the duties and do them and not just parts of them. So it was cool that Michelle introduced us, and then we got to talking, and you didn't really have services for all of those parts. But I'll tell you what, you were the only person out there that I've talked to, lots and lots of companies, that were like, yeah, you know what, Shay, we don't do that stuff, but let's talk about how that would look. And let's see if that's something that we can do and if we can have a solution for that, which I was just like, yes. And you've been amazing from start to finish on that. Very accommodating. And instead of like saying no, you're like, let's figure out a way to find a yes, which is like my favorite thing to do in business in general. Agreed. So thank you for coming up with this whole system so that now we have a real resource for agents across the state of Iowa to kind of hand off that whole paperwork side on the back end.
And what you've come up with too is it's we just don't do that in Iowa. It's not a common thing. And so kind of across the board, you really can't find anybody that maybe is not a licensed assistant if you don't have them under your belt that will do that. And so it was coming up with just a service that we could offer that would be able to do it literally from before pending, because most closing companies are pending to close and then beyond. But this was literally before you even got the client. How can we help service you too? And so I think it was a good offering, not only to offer to you, but for us to launch to a bunch of different agents. So I think it'll be super helpful as we go along.
I totally agree. There's different companies out there. A lot of these things are handled in-house at brokerages, which also makes you brokerage dependent. So it's funny how so many, or there's a lot of brokerage models that make you fully dependent upon their branding. Like there's three kinds of models, like as far as that goes, where there's dependent models, which are a lot of them. Then there's independent models where you are just affiliated with them, but they don't give you much training or support or anything. And then there's interdependent models like the one I'm at, like EXP, where they both rely on each other to get things moving. And therefore, you could always move on or do other things, and you're not dependent upon this name or this brand or this support. You're built so that you can go and do your business on your own.
Yeah, which is super helpful when you're collaborating with other businesses too. You know, when you find the one, so in some brokerages, when you're stuck with the person that you have, you maybe not have the same sites or they don't work the same way that you do. Whereas when you work together with a company that can kind of a la carte services, that's what we always call it. Like we know that not all agents operate the same. So we're going to a la carte it and personalize it for what that agent needs in that service too.
Yeah, which is what you did. You came up with an amazing menu of services so that people can get as little support from you or as much as. So, because there's a lot of people out there that really want to have their hands on every piece of the thing. They really enjoy that. And that's actually part of scaling that's hard for realtors to let go of, is like letting go of things. From the beginning of me building teams in Las Vegas, San Diego, everywhere that I've done it, and now in Iowa, and then now across the country, I'm a real like, hey, you take it. I don't want any of it. Like, how can I leverage this at the maximum capacity?
That was my favorite thing that you said. Like, I don't want to touch this thing. Like, I want to do the fun things. Perfect. Well, let us do the other things that you don't like to do. So you can go do the fun things. And that's what we always said. Our motto is, again, sell more by doing less. And so that's what we want agents to be able to do, is to go out there and sell as much as they want by not having to handle all those little details in the background. Even if you like to do it or not, let the people that are there all the time do it for you so that you don't have to focus on that too.
Yeah. And that's part of the biggest parts of what I coach is, getting people to let that stuff go. Like these are not things those are not the most critical tasks of a realtor. The critical tasks of a realtor are having conversations. That's really the main whole role of the whole thing. Having conversations, previewing houses, having open houses, posting on social media or marketing. That's what I would rather have realtors focusing on. But like I said, there's all kinds of levels of what people want to do and where they're at in their career, with that. But from day one, I have not done paperwork. 0 time. I don't do it. Since I was a rookie in real estate, I let people that are professionals at that do it and help keep that organized and run all of that. And I do the parts of what I do, which is having conversations, building relationships, and negotiating and getting leverage for my clients to get better deals, all that kind of stuff.
Which is crazy. Like, we hire the people that like to do that paperwork, which it amazes me that people, because I'm not that person, like I can do it, but that's not what I get joy out of. But we hire the people that love to be in the background and just do that and get the boss agents around a little bit, be like, hey, I need this from you, or hey, that. And perfect. It's a good balance between everybody.
Yeah, I need to be bossed around. You just tell me what you want me to do or what you need me to do. Hopefully not paperwork or admin style, but if you're like, hey, I'm not getting this document, or I need this to be able to move forward, help me do this, then I'll help. Okay, we'll get it.
Yeah, we love it. It takes all kinds. It takes all kinds. And again, finding that right balance of what you need as an agent to be able to say like, hey, I want to be able to contact my clients. So don't contact my clients. We have some agents that say that, like, we just want to be that forward facing. We want you in the background. We have other agents that say, please just contact them. We want you to be their main contact. And then if they need me, then they can contact me after that too. So again, finding that good balance and finding a TC that works with you in that way too, and a closing company that works with you in that way.
Yeah, you tailor it to suit the needs of the client, which I mean, that's what real great agents do as well.
Mhm.
They tailor the whole experience to their client, right? So all clients are different, all personalities are different. So we need to really approach this as a shopping consultant more than a used car salesman type thing, right?
Absolutely.
And then that's the same thing for what I do for my coaching program and everything is that we tailor. I mean, some people are just an agent that wants to expand their business and have a better work-life balance. Some people want to build a team. They're at a point where they want to get leverage. Some people want to move into other states or markets, and we have coaching for that. So we tailor it because not everybody wants that much help from me. Some people don't want. They're like, Shay, look, I just want to come and kick butt because the company you're at is amazing and whatever. And other people are like, Shay, help me with everything. And so you do the same thing, especially with, for me, hey, you'll do everything for me.
And that's just it. We have an onboarding call that we usually make with agents when they want to join our TC services too. And so we go through a list of questions that we actually ask them and be like, okay, what's the best way to contact you? Because some people it's email, some people it's cell phones. Some people are like, don't ever call me because I'm never going to answer the phone. Okay, then we know we're not wasting our time having to do that. Or, if we call you, that it's an emergency if we're calling you too. Yeah. And so we go through the whole system of onboarding and just kind of ask those questions so we can figure out what each agent needs from us.
Yeah, I like it that you just said it's okay if we just Snapchat. That's the only way we talk about business with Snapchat. I'm just kidding. I
just literally signed up for Snapchat. Like, I can't remember, like 2 weeks ago, and my kid has driven me nuts on it. So I think I'm going to unsnap myself from there too. I don't know. It gets a little crazy.
I don't blame you. I really don't understand it. I don't get how to use it. And I've gone off and on it over the years and I don't get it. But I just think it's funny because I think some people do strictly communicate through Snapchat. And I'm just like, I don't know how you do it.
No, agreed. No.
Good. We're on the same page there. We just, well, we're not boomers, but what are we, Gen X's or something?
Yeah, don't remind me.
Whatever we are, we're just kind of cool, but kind of not. Okay, cool. So let's go into maybe tell us a little bit about your history in work and how you got into this role that you're in and what you do.
Yeah, you bet. So I always like to think that I'm younger than I am, but it's 23 years ago I started in the title and closing business. And so I started as a high school student. So then you can kind of date how old I am. So I started as a high school student as a school to work project. And so I went and worked at a law firm that did real estate closings. And I literally have stuck with that ever since. And so I started out just doing the closing portion of it, issuing title guarantee, which again is a weird little thing in Iowa that we do. Mm-hmm. And then I went to own my own closing company. So I owned that for a little bit. Then I flip-flopped and went and was the president at Blackhawk County Abstract on the settlement side for a little while. Then I left there to become a real estate agent, which is kind of how I had like a little bit of this real estate knowledge and how agents work a little bit to be able to help my team figure out how to be agents. And then I got an opportunity to take over Real Clear Settlement. And here I am 6 years later running it. And we've grown from one person, which was me, all the way up to now we have a staff of 12 that handle everything across Iowa. So yeah, so we do both settlement services. There's always different names. So we do actually the loan and closing settlement services. We do transaction coordination. We have a 1031 exchange company, which is called Real Clear Exchange. And then we have an education side, which is called Real Education. And so we teach free CEs to agents once a month. And then as per anything that they need or as something comes up, then we'll teach another free CE. So we figure that agents deserve the knowledge to be able to be good agents because when they're good agents, then they help us out. And it really makes our job look that much better. And so, yeah, so that's kind of a full gamut of the last kind of 23-ish years to make it to this point.
Wow, that's impressive. So you've helped grow the company in all those locations and everything?
Yep. Wow,
that is
one person. Yeah, as a one-person show. So now we've grown. Now I have, a project manager that helps out, and I have again staff and operations that help out. But yeah, we started out as one person. That was me.
Well, I can tell why that you've been so successful because honestly, you are so great to work with in the way that you're listening. You're trying to find solutions, and you genuinely want to help. You want to see better improvement, and like how can we better serve people, and how can we do better? Like you're just open-minded to doing that, which is why I'm sure that so many people want to work with you, and why you were able to expand into those areas.
Yeah, and every year since 2022, we've come up with like a new push. And so 2022 was the year of you. And so we really pushed for, okay, how can we help agents directly? How can we help them grow directly? 2023 was the year of we, and it says, okay, together, how can we do this better? 2024, we had achieved more in 2024. We really liked rhyming words. And so 2024 is achieved more in 2024. And so as how can we help agents push to get more business and help them leverage it, which came across with the real education and teaching them the knowledge and stuff. And then 2025 will actually be Thrive in 2025. And we're teaching agents again to release some of those duties so that they can go and have a better work-life balance. And so that's kind of our big push in 2025 is how do we get agents to actually release some of that duties, help us out so that they can help grow, which ends up actually helping us grow even more too.
Yeah, Thrive in 2025. I love it.
I think that's going to be everybody's like, there's not a whole lot of words that rhyme with 5. And so I think everyone and their mom is going to be Thrive in 2025, if I'm being honest. So.
It could be, 2025. I'm still alive.
That is true. Survive in 2025. Yeah, we went around that one. Yeah. High five in 2025.
Hey, there you go. See, there's so many. All right, yours is unique. Everybody else will have those other ones.
There. Thank you. I posted it first. So there we go. Done.
There we go. Trademarked, right? Very cool though. Super impressive. Glad that you're doing so well. And I think that I'm behind you on let's give this. I think realtors and business people in general should look at the things that you can give away and focus on the things that you are an expert at and or that will get you the most business and use of your time. So I'm an advocate and I will help push that for you as much as possible because it is a win-win. Like agents shouldn't be doing that stuff. Any of the biggest coaches out there will tell you that these are not things that you should be focusing on or doing. Let it go. Let that go to the people. You go do your main task, and everybody has their role. So,
yeah. And it's so hard. It's hard for people who are entrepreneurs, and all agents are entrepreneurs. They truly are, but it's hard for them to release some of those duties and think I think the trust is a big thing. Finding somebody that you trust to be able to take them on. If there's no trust there, it's hard to release those to be able to move on to the next space. So it's a weird space. And I've been there before, to be like, hey, I need to give up some of these duties so I can focus on growing our company. But once you do, you realize why didn't I do that sooner? Why didn't I release that? It's just a hard hump to get over.
Yeah, it is a little scary to let things go though, and let somebody else mess it up, which I've been really good at that over the years because I just was committed to it. Because I've come from restaurant management where there's a ton of people I'm managing and there's just so many parts that people can do differently than the way you would do it.
Yep.
And you have to be okay with that. But I kind of started in that space. So, but moving into the real estate space, it is tough to have people go out there and not only do it their own way, but maybe fail a lot or do things bad or do things wrong. And it's fine. That's part of it. You're never going to grow if you don't go through those parts and then help people, to do better in those roles and not make those mistakes or let them make mistakes and grow from it.
Yeah. We have a quote in our space, and I don't know when I said this, but my staff will never let it go. And it was everyone's okay to make mistakes. Some mistakes just cost more money. And I don't know why they've stuck around with it, but hey, everybody's allowed to make those mistakes. It doesn't matter. Sometimes we just have to fix them a little bit harder. And so it's but that gives that freedom of being I want you to try it. I don't need you to tell me every single thing. I want you to try it and then we'll fix it later on if something doesn't work too.
I love it. Don't be afraid to go make mistakes or fail forward is another good way. The people that grow and succeed the fastest really, fail and make an ass of themselves kind of on purpose as quickly as possible so that you can learn and move forward.
Eating humble pie is the biggest thing. And I say, I've eaten a lot of humble pie over my years. And guess what? I'm still around. And I think people appreciate that when you say, hey, I messed up. We need to fix this. And how are we going to do it and problem solve?
And I mess up a lot. So that's the other thing is it's okay to mess up, just not over and over on the same thing. You can mess up once and then take accountability for it and say, hey, I messed up. I'm sorry. Here's what I'm doing to fix it.
Yes, absolutely.
And then don't do it anymore, right?
Yep.
It's when people, and I deal with this with agents on the other side of deals and all the time, or lenders or whoever, where there's a mistake and then they just ghost. They don't talk about it. They're afraid to confront it or whatever. And I'm listen, it's okay to make mistakes. You just need to admit it. You need to say what's happening to fix it. And then, we'll move forward from there. It's non-communication that's really going to get people worked up.
Yeah, I'm a big book person, and Mel Robbins' 5-second rule has been like a namesake. I got 5 seconds to literally be mad about this, like throw my feet into the fire. But then after 5 seconds, I got to pick up the phone and call somebody and say something. Like you got 5 seconds to be mad, and then just do it. And I feel like agents have that a lot. They sit there and they're thinking, oh gosh, how am I ever going to get past this? Just send an email, say, hey, I'm working on this. I'm sorry. Like this is my mistake. I'm working on it. We do that as a closing company. Like, okay, get involved right away so that they know that you're doing something too.
Yeah, I must have gotten 17 to 25 emails from you guys from all the mistakes you did, but you said, hey, I'm working on it. No, I'm just kidding.
I love
it. You guys did not. You guys did a great job. Everybody was super on point. So really appreciate it. And the cool thing was that you know, while we're working out all the details for this new system and stuff, you went above and beyond, like, you know, helping me like, hey, you know, I know, and I would say it too, like, hey, I know we're trying to figure this out. We don't have all the systems for it, but this is what I need. Yep. And will you do it? And you would just be like, I'll do it for you, Shay. I'll do it right now. And I'm like, thank you so much. Because otherwise I'd sit there, pull the little hairs out of my head, trying to figure it out. So
the crazy thing is, you know, and I've learned this over the years, is we have people take strength finders tests before they join our company. And I will not hire them if they don't have achiever in their top 5 strengths. All of our team members have achiever because they want to get stuff done. They want to achieve more. They want to do better for the client. And so it's just one of those things where it just so happens that achiever just works really well in our company. And so that's all we hire for, to get stuff done for agents. They just want the agents to achieve well, and they want to do well too.
Which assessment do you use for that?
We use the Clifton Strength Finders, the 34. I can't think of the exact name.
Strength Finder?
Yep. It's on Gallup.com.
On Gallup. I've historically used the DISC assessment, if you've heard of it.
Yep.
Yeah. And it works well too, but I'm always looking for other things to see what, you know, parameters or what would help people, you know.
Yeah, we have all of our employees take a strength finders, and we have them take a Colby. So Colby strength finders just says, hey, here's your strengths, here's your weaknesses. And they're not really necessarily weaknesses, but if you're aware of them, here's how you work past them. And then the Colby helps us see how people answer and respond to things. So how much information do they need before they make a response? How good is their follow through? And so it just kind of tells us how people operate in like a work setting. So yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm going to check that one out too, because like I said, you can't, it helps people to understand how they can operate the best in a work situation. Like you said, it's not necessarily good or bad, but this is how they operate, and here's how to get the most out of in their element. So,
and I always recommend, if agents are hiring assistants or agents are hiring, you know, other people to be on their team, to have them do these too, because then you realize how these people operate. So we have one employee that she's a 9 on the fact finder. So she needs all the facts before she moves on. That used to drive me insane, to be like, you don't need all of them. Like, you don't need everything. But now I know that she does, to make a good decision and make that follow through. And so I'm like, it helps you work better in a good situation.
That's so funny. And I've done extensive interviewing processes, and there was different things at different brokerages I was at before that we use for tools like that. But I make it a part of the interview process. Yep, so we go deep into what makes people tick, and also how I tick, so that we know how to communicate together and how that's going to look, because you know, I don't know, the way I am is the way I am, and I'm direct, and I'm also fun, but I'm also a hot mess, and I'm not organized, and I don't want to know any of the facts. I want to know this many of the facts so that I can move forward, and then no more clutter. This little brain is too small for more information, like just enough to move forward. We'll go from there.
Now I'm getting too old where now it's like, I won't remember all the facts. So don't tell me all of them. I only need to know about half of them right now.
Right. Just give me the littlest bits. Like, and I used to do that. I used to hire people to work for my team. Like in the beginning, like for example, I hired this mathematician gal that worked with me at a restaurant that I managed on the Strip in Las Vegas. And I had her come in, and what did I do? I had her figure out how to do SEO operations and put in information into my website and all this stuff, so that we could start getting SEO traction from people, which it worked right away. But she could do the mundane, just data entry. And I told her where to look up information and pull it into this, you know, information resource. It was a neighborhood website for Las Vegas for the different parts of what I was doing. And I was like, figure all this out, learn it, and then give me like the 10 to 15 minute version of how it works. Like, I don't care how it really works. You tell me what you figured out, and then we'll go from there. And that's how I work, though.
Yep.
You know, I don't have patience or the ability to sit and do repetitive work. I just don't. I like having conversations with people like you and learning about you and what you do and what your successes have been and that kind of stuff. That's what really gets me going.
Yeah, I love it. I was telling Shay before everybody hopped on, you give me a microphone, I'll talk. I have zero problem. I could be on podcasts literally all day long and it would not bother me at all. Which is why we've gotten sidetracked on this podcast probably already too.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what it's all about. That's what I tell people, because some people get really nervous coming on this thing. And I like how you were like, hey, you know what? I didn't see the social media posts. I didn't see all this stuff. And I was like, oh man, I hope that doesn't make her really nervous, because a lot of people are super nervous to come on here. Like a lot of times this is their first podcast. This is whatever. And I'm like, I'll throw it together. Hey, just hang tight. Sorry, I'm running behind on that. But I think other people would probably
they'd probably panic. Yeah.
Really panicking, like, what? Like,
you didn't give me all the facts. Where's all the questions I'm going to have to answer? I was like, don't give me any questions, because I'm never going to look at them. I'm just going to come in here and wing it.
See, I like the way you operate, because that's exactly how I am. But other people, I think they do say like, well, do you have a list of questions and how's it going to look and all that? And I'm like, no, like, we're just going to have a conversation. I was like, trust me, I'm going to lead you through the whole thing. There will be no dead space. It'll be really easy. I'm going to have to make us wrap up, like a few minutes before an hour's up. Like every time. It's not like, oh, now what do we talk about? Like, it's like we're talking. I'm like, hey, well, we got 3 minutes left. So, so that's how it works.
And I think knowing that too, and just kind of like pulling this back into what agents can do, knowing that about their clients too, because, some clients need all the information before you even walk in the door versus, where I might look up the house on the assessor's site and I'm just going to walk in there and kind of, again, figure out what's happening. And going in the same thing with agents on onboarding too. Some people say, okay, what questions are you going to ask me before so I can have this pre-filled out? Fantastic. I'll send it to you. I have zero problems with it. And so again, finding that out about your clients and your people that you're working with is super helpful. I wish I could get everybody to take a personality test, like including my husband, and daughter, to figure out what's working in their minds, but it just doesn't work that way. Again, we sometimes have to figure it out on the fly.
Good idea. I don't think I've ever done that to my kids. We've done a lot of things, like vision boards and goal setting and all that, but I haven't done a personality assessment or whatever. Jen has done them, my wife. She's in the same kind of space. So, but good idea. Good idea.
If there's one thing that came from this, that's it right there.
Testing my kids. Yeah. All right, cool. So maybe we move into a little bit about how the closing settlement stuff works in Iowa, and why is it different, and what do you do to help navigate the process as a company?
So I like to say because Iowa's a little bit of a unicorn. So we get a lot of lenders that'll send us requests and they'll be like, oh, we're sending this to Iowa. Like everything's different. And so it is interesting how many people know about how different Iowa is. Or, when people sell properties in different surrounding states and then try and come sell in Iowa, and they're like, I need an abstract. What the heck is that? Like, what's title guarantee? You can't sell title insurance here. And so it just makes us a little bit different. So one of the things that makes us different about Iowa is literally how our title product is produced. And so I also have a title insurance license. And so I kind of know a little bit about what other states do. And so again, you typically contact your title insurance company and say, hey, this is the property I want. Here's the sales price. Here's the loan amount. And here's what this product does. And that title insurance company researches and then gets you the title insurance product. Here in Iowa, we're a little bit different. So we have this fun thing called abstracts. And what that is it is literally a book. It's like the book of the history of the home. Who's all owned it? What encumbrances are on it? If there's been any divorces, like all the juicy stuff's in there sometimes. And what we do is we have title attorneys. So every abstract goes to a title attorney to read that abstract and produce what's called a title opinion. From that title opinion, then we're able to issue title insurance. And so in Iowa, title insurance sales is prohibited. The state of Iowa has a law that says you cannot sell title insurance in the state of Iowa. And so we have what's called title guarantee. And so that's actually the state of Iowa's title insurance product. And so it costs $175, which seems, again, kind of ludicrous to have like $175 for a title insurance product. But it's $175 up to $750,000. And then every 100,000 after that is an extra dollar. So if you're looking at $1 million, you're adding an extra $250 on that policy. But really, technically, it's fairly cheap for what you're getting too.
That's what I was going to say. That's dirt cheap compared
Yeah.
to like what I'm used to in the escrow title services in the West Coast. I mean, it could be.
What would a $750,000 house approximately cost you there?
I don't know, $1,500.
Yeah. So again, we're looking at like what 10% of what that would typically cost there.
Yeah.
Too.
It could be more too. Like, yeah, something
Yeah.
like that though, just for that part.
Yeah. The other thing that's different about title insurance versus title guarantee here in Iowa. So title insurance has the ability to say, hey, this judgment, it's not going to become an issue. We're just going to overwrite it. And so they're just going to say, hey, we're not going to clear that. We're just going to issue this insurance policy over anything that comes there. With title guarantee in Iowa, we're required to release everything that needs to be released to issue that policy. So if we're waiting for old judgments that are hanging out there, we have to get a release for that before we issue our final policy. If there's a mortgage out there, we have to issue a mortgage release or make sure that we have all the documentation that it was paid in full. And so what title guarantee does is we have some of the lowest claims against title insurance because we're required to fix everything before we issue that policy. So it's a little bit cleaner than other states. It's a little bit slower too. So again, we got to take the good with the bad. It's slower getting those policies out. But it helps out with the borrowers in the long run too.
Yeah, true. And it does take longer. So I find here that appraisals and then the whole abstract title situation just takes longer. So like I'm in Las Vegas, San Diego, those markets that I'm in, we close all day, every day, 21 days.
Yep.
You're not probably going to get, I mean, if somebody wants 30 days, fine, but that would be on the long side or, whatever, but 21 days, especially, I mean, it's kind of slowing down a little bit right now, time wise, but 21 is not weird. And then to get your offer accepted, 16 is like preferred. If you want to stand out, they're closing it that fast. Like appraisers are on it. Like everybody is on it. But I was going to say about that is in other states. So they have different kinds of title insurance, right? There's Alta, there's CLTA, which I don't really know.
I can't remember what the C stands for. Yeah. Yep.
But there's different levels. So, and then there's, and some of them don't protect as well as others.
Yeah.
So if an encumbrance does come up down the line and you have like the basic title insurance, then you might be out of luck.
Absolutely.
So I always explain to my clients, like get the top tier, because I've had it come up where my seller sold a property and they had the water company in Las Vegas had given them money in order to take all of the waterscaping, any plants, everything out and make it a desert scape. And then that went with the house. Like you couldn't put pool in, you couldn't put any plants in, except desert landscaping stuff. And the new people came in and it was disclosed or something, I don't know, but there was some contention later because they wanted to put in a pool and they had this thing and they said, well, hey, we didn't have this. And whatever, I think they didn't have good enough insurance somehow, some way. I don't remember how it worked, but they ended up having to pay, I don't know what it was, like $2-3 grand to lift that restriction and move forward. But it had something to do with the title insurance not being top tier, but it was all included or disclosed. They just, whatever, I don't know what it was. But anyway, the point is that having the different or correct level or the highest level will protect you in the best way.
Yeah. And the other thing that we do here a little bit different in Iowa too is that if your lender requires a title insurance policy for that $175, you get a free owner's policy. So the state of Iowa is so specific that we will clean that title correctly for that lender that we're going to give you a free owner's policy up to $750. So they literally give it to owners for free. We have some owners that, you have to elect it. They're at closing. So there's a form that you elect. We have some owners that say, I don't want that. And I'm like, why would you not want that? Like, it's free. Like, it is not a gimmick. It's nothing. Like, it is free in case something were to happen in the long run. And so we try and talk them into it. Some people are so adamant about not getting, and I'm like, it's like an insurance policy. You don't need it until you need it. And so when it's 10 years down the road and you need it and you said no, there's nothing we can do about getting that policy for you.
That's crazy. They're like, I don't want to owe you nothing.
Yeah.
It's for free. You give
You're
me
like, I don't want
money.
to waste your paper by sending it to me.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine, I guess, but we're
Yeah.
still going to send it to you via email.
Megabytes.
So, yeah.
Megabytes on DocuSign.
The biggest thing that we're seeing now with the owner's policy too is like fraud charges. So fraud
Yeah.
is just running rampant. And I know it's been pretty bad in other states, but it's starting to hit here Iowa a little bit more. I think Iowa's just a super trusting state. And we're
It
like,
is.
oh yeah, you need my social security number. Here you go. Like
Yeah.
take it.
Weirdly
Whereas now
trustworthy.
we're seeing a lot more fraud charges. And if you get an owner's policy, even if it's a cash deal, you can purchase your owner's policy for $175, that it will literally cover that fraud case for you in most cases.
Oh,
And so like just do it, pay for it. Like it's
great
worth it.
example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that we're starting to see more of that and we're not liking it, but we're having to clean up a lot more too.
It is what it is. It all kind of goes from the coast inward, right?
It does all the time. Yeah.
But it's funny, like here too, speaking of trustworthiness here, first of all, earnest money is ridiculously low. Like, I mean, like, what's the point of even having it? You're not really like, you kept my $1,000, like,
Yeah.
Whatever. On the West Coast, it's 1%, 2%, 3% of the
Yep.
purchase price. So people are really gonna, because so many people will back out of deals.
Yeah.
Just for the hexies of it. Whereas here, it's like kind of like, no, we said we're going to buy it. We're going to buy
Yeah.
it. And everybody's kind of trusts that they will, which coming from where I come from and where I've seen how people actually behave and can do things, then it's like, I just don't like leaving it up for risk, but you have to adjust for the local market and blah, blah, blah.
Absolutely.
The other thing that's funny to me, just along with that, is that well, maybe I shouldn't talk about it.
Now you've said it. Now you got to say something.
Well, okay. I don't know. I just don't want to give people the idea, but no, I'm not going to talk about it. We'll talk about it offline.
Okay, deal.
Because it is funny, but also it could give people ideas. So I'm not even going to talk about it.
Yeah, and so
it is nice that it's a trustworthy state and that people are pretty much going to do what they say they're going to do here. Not always, but
yeah, and our team follows the 4 referability habits, and then one of them is, do what you say you're going to do. And so it's like literally just do it. If you say you're going to help out with that, get it done, because that was what makes trustworthiness right there, is doing what you say you're going to do and say please and thank you. Like that's a huge thing. Show up on time, say please and thank you, and do what you say you're going to do. Yeah.
You know what? That is the recipe for top success in any business you are at, any place.
Absolutely.
It's so funny. I grew up with those values living and working here in Iowa. And then I went to the West Coast and I was like, I mean, it's like cheating.
Yeah.
All you have to do is do what you said you were going to do, work hard, and diligently, and don't worry about who's not working or not doing anything over here. It's like, I don't care what they're doing. I'm just going to do double or triple what everybody does just because I do it. And I mean, it was like crazy. Like whatever I wanted, I could get just because there's nobody else is necessarily doing that. They didn't grow up with those kind of values.
I moved for a very brief stint out to New York City, and the moment they saw I was from Iowa, I could have pretty much any job that I wanted out there. And I went and worked for a law firm out there, and there was 3 of us from Iowa in just my recruiting class that came in too. And so they're like, "Oh, you're from Iowa? Hired." And I was like, okay, like I didn't know that this was such a great thing to be from Iowa, but it is. I think we're just so hardworking, and they know that we're trustworthy here. So.
Yeah, and that's not to say that people, my West Coast friends, that they're
absolutely not.
People that I associated with and that I worked with were all super hardworking, and that's also why we were in the same circles. So it's not to say that, but there are a lot more people there too. So then the balance and the
true.
Spectrum is much bigger because there's so many more people that are not doing things, and then so yeah.
I think that also goes to agents, like when you're doing clients too, and when you have clients, like I always tell my team, you have the right to fire any agent that doesn't fit our mold, because if they're not doing what they're going to do, they're not trustworthy. Like we don't want to work with them because we don't want to be in that association. Same thing goes for agents. Like again, if you need to work with a trustworthy TC and trustworthy clients, otherwise nobody's going to get anywhere. It's just going to cause you more pain and headache than anything else.
Yeah, absolutely. Same with clients. I've had. My patience over the years has gone way down because I luckily I can afford to do that. So if people are being disrespectful, unethical, dishonest, trying to take advantage of people for whatever reasons, the other people that they're trying to work with, whatever that is, I get over that real quick. Like I used to when I first got in, if people were cussing at me or trying to treat me bad, I'm just like, oh, well. And a lot of times I would say, you know, maybe I am the only person that can have the patience to help this person, even though they're rotten and mean, you know, maybe I'm the only person that will still help them. You know, that's how I thought. That's how I think. I want to help everybody. Nowadays, if somebody's disrespectful, I say, you know, like, listen, you are no longer my client.
Yep.
I've never had somebody talk to me like that before. Don't call me anymore.
Yep.
Sort of like that. But also I have agents that work for me. So, and maybe they're working with them. So I had a guy that was super disrespectful to one of my female agents in Vegas. And I was like, do you want to work with this guy? Cause I'm going to fire him.
Yep.
And she's like, no, she's like, I'll do it. She's like, it doesn't bother me. I'm like, are you serious? Cause he's super disrespectful. And she's like, no, I'll do it. It's okay.
Yep.
I'm like, okay, well, if it does get out of hand, let me know because I will put an end to it.
Yeah. And I think you do.
I was like, okay.
Yeah, I think you do. You get to that place in your business in that time frame where, you know, when you're a young agent, you want to take on every single client and, you know, you're trying to build your business and you want to, but sometimes it's just a drag. Like that's when people get burnt out when they're like, oh my gosh, this one deal took me 500 hours and I lost money on this deal, rather than just focus on the people that care and that want to refer you business and do everything else. Like, focus so much of your energy on those people and the people will come from there.
Yeah, I've learned that over the years too, that sometimes like keeping and holding on to those things and trying to save them for whatever lack or scarcity mindset you're in, that you think that that's something you need to do. But once you do cut ties with something so negative and toxic, suddenly you've opened up all this space for great things to come and people that value you. And it's really a magical thing. But when you're in the moment, you might not see that. So, you know, as you go, the wisdom there kind of helps you to know that, hey, it's okay if people aren't a fit for each other and to cut ties and walk away. Ethically, of course, you're not going to just leave somebody fully hanging in the dust. I mean, unless they were crazy disrespectful, then it's like, no soup for you.
You're done. That's
no
right.
Soup for you. Yeah.
It's a great Seinfeld episode. I missed those episodes so much.
Yep. Hey, we got a couple of what do you call it? Comments that I have been ignoring. We're not ignoring, but I just saw them. Chad Lautner, he's my neighbor. He said, millennials. I'm not a millennial. I'm actually Gen X, right? Like,
I can't remember what the cutoff is.
I think it's 79 or somewhere around there. Maybe.
Okay, so I was born after 79, so that must be a millennial. I think I'm a millennial. But I was around when the Backstreet Boys were around, so I think maybe that was a millennial thing.
I mean, I was around then too. Yeah. But anyway, but I'm like, I think right on the cusp. Like, I think 80's on. Like, I'm in a weird little pocket there. But anyway.
Guess what? It's only what you feel. That's what it is. You got to go with how you feel.
Hey, I'm good for whatever. I'm proud to have grown up and just lived through all the crazy stuff. Isn't it weird to think about when we were kids compared to now? Like, my kids are so sweet and nice. I'm like, I was a legitimate degenerate by your age. Like,
I have a teenage daughter, and like, she will be home and she loves to stay home with me. And I was like, I was gone. I was never home. I was not doing stuff I probably should have been, but now I can track her with Life 360. So it's fantastic.
Same. I'm like, hey buddy, you got a few too many quick starts on your, on your driving there, you know? Tim Boer says pruning makes room for new growth. And that is
I love it.
Exactly right. Like, and sometimes it's hard to let go though, because maybe you need that $5,000 or whatever. And you're just like, but I'm telling you, and this is what I teach my agents and coaching clients around the country, is that, gosh, I mean, go for it for a little bit, but if it's eating you up, just let it go. And you'll probably get 10, 15 grand in exchange, as far as good things that will come your way, opportunities.
Yeah, I'm all about vibes and energy and stuff. And so again, the more you expend that bad energy in places where it's not going to be, the more it just eats away at you. Like, it truly does. And so again, having those people that surround you that are worth it and want to build your energy instead of suck it out of you are the ones that you need to spend time with.
Yep, totally agree. And thanks for your patience with me working through all this new stuff, because maybe I was challenging. I don't know. I know what I want. Okay, I just need help.
My team is never allowed to be mean to anybody, but sometimes they will hang up the phone and just start cursing. And that's why we're all like, we work from home in different offices, and you can say whatever you want once a day. And they probably say it about me too, if we're being honest. So no, nobody said anything about you that way, Shay.
Oh yeah, good. Well, I really liked all of them. Everybody was super helpful. So, you know, I'm looking forward to many more positive interactions and actually growing together like we talked about.
Yeah.
So let's say then we have the abstract, we have that. Maybe talk about how do you marry everything together and manage the timeline of, okay, we're on contract, which one side or the other, whichever one you want to talk about.
You bet. So our team works off the 5 C's is what we call them. And so the first one is connect. So we connect all the parties together, figuring out who needs what. And then we start to get really bossy. We're like, hey, you need to get this done by this. Here's what needs to happen here. Here's what happens there. And then we have the collect stage. So that's where we start to collect everything. And so again, once that abstract's done, we're starting to, again, get it to the right parties and then start to collect all the invoices and everything else too. Our third C is collaborate. And so this is where we get to work with everybody again. We kind of go in that black hole stage with connect because everybody's working on their own things. We're trying to get there. But then the collaborate stage comes back around. And then again, we start to get kind of bossy again. And we're like, hey, here's what everybody needs to do to make us make it there on time. We're really big into calendars. And so we put deadlines and timelines on our calendar and our agents' calendars too. So we like, hey, your inspection's due today. What you doing about that? Like, you need to let us know what's coming from that. So again, starting to collaborate in that space too. Our fourth C is close, and that's everybody's favorite day because, again, that's when we all get paid. Like, nobody gets paid until the close day. So then we're all like, yeah, let's go. How are we celebrating this one? Because then our fifth C is celebrate too. And so we really work on, again, celebrating not only us, like, hey, we closed a deal. That's another one in our pipeline. But celebrating our agents too. So we actually track agent milestones in our system. And so we know when you've hit one transaction, if it's your first transaction ever with us, we know when it's your first one this year. We know when you've hit 5 transactions, 10, 25, and so we actually celebrate with you as you go along the pipeline and be like, hey, this is not only huge for us, but this is huge for you. Like, did you know you did that many? Because so many agents, we realize, don't track their numbers or don't realize where they're at. They just go through the mundane day to day. And it's like, hey, did you know you did 5 transactions with us this year? No, I had no clue. Like, that's a huge thing. And so again, we like to celebrate people even after the fact too. So yeah, so that's kind of how we tie everybody together. But calendar invites, emails, texts, so that we keep everybody on track kind of as we go along the way. We have a real clear guarantee. And what that is if the file does not close by something that happened by us, so like by us, then we don't make anybody charge for it. We literally do it for free. We've only had to do that once in the 6 years that we've been open. And it really I kind of bit my tongue because I really didn't want to pay this out because I didn't think it was our fault, but I did it, to betterment of everybody. But again, it's like, that's how much our team operates that way, is saying like, we're going to get this done. It's not on us. It's on everybody else as we boss them around in the transaction to do their part too. So, yeah.
Wow. That's super cool. And mistakes happen. But like you said, even if it's questionable and it's something that you can do, then it's like, why not? Just let's do it and move on. But that's super cool. Now you also have you don't have an attorney on staff, but you have an attorney you work with. So, I mean, basically you're a one-stop shop is what I'm getting at. Yeah. So like every part of this, you can handle the coordination of it and getting everything signed from all parties and whatever, right?
You bet. So we have a lot of what we call like vendor collaborators. So they're people that we use, they're vetted. We know they're going to get it done on time. They operate how we operate. They know, again, how important the transaction it is. So the two things that we don't do is we don't do abstracting, but we work with people that will get it done correctly and get it done right away. So again, we're not going to send it to any Tom, Dick, or Harry unless, again, the client really wants it to go there. Otherwise, we say, hey, we're going to take this. If you don't mind, we're going to get it to where we need it to get it to and get it done. Same thing about an attorney. We don't have an on-house staff attorney. However, we do work with attorneys in each market center that we have. They're attorneys that will turn everything around for us in less than 24 hours. And so if they know if they get an abstract on their desk, we need it back immediately. And so they just operate the same that we do. And so, yeah, so we work with those two people kind of in-house. But otherwise, we do all transaction coordination, closing, title insurance in-house. We do 1031s. It's a sister company, which is 1031 Exchange, Real Clear Exchange. So,
I didn't know that, by the way. That is super cool to know that we have a resource for 1031 exchanges. Yeah. Did you see a lot of those here? Probably.
We go through spurts, towards the end of the year. This is our busy season because people start planning for the next year. So we see a ton of them right about now too, but they go in super big spurts. So, I mean, we will probably do about 25 to 50 a year is probably all we'll do. We do forward some out in the summer just because we get super busy in-house. So we work with, again, some vendors and some partners that will forward them out to when we get busy. But yeah, we do about 25 to 50. Yeah. But that's not our main, again, we like to say that's not our main
Yeah.
moneymaker. It's basically
Right.
helping and collaborate with those agents and attorneys that really want them done because they know how we operate to get them done too.
Yeah, an ancillary service.
Yep.
Probably like every 27 and a half years is when you get them.
Yes.
Exactly. Yes. No, it's funny because like in San Diego, exactly, that's how long you can depreciate a house.
Yep. Absolutely. Yep.
So for the people that don't know that, and it's funny because there's just so many people that keep properties forever and ever, and
Yep.
that's actually a thing. They 27 and a half year out, and they'll have to exchange it to reset their clock. But
And
obviously,
think how much their house appreciates in that amount of time,
Well-
like wholeheartedly, so much. They might have bought it for 100,000. They're selling it for, $1 million. Like some of those homes have just appreciated that much in that amount of time.
and they won't sell them. They just,
No.
it's hard to get them to sell them because they don't want to pay the taxes. Like
Absolutely.
the capital gains taxes through the roof. I mean, I have multiple clients that would sell right now
Yep.
if they didn't have to pay the taxes that
Yeah.
are associated with it, like hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes.
They talked about it one time. I know here in Iowa, we have Senator Grassley. He talked at one time to do a tax holiday. And so basically what that was, it was a period of time when you would not have to pay capital gains as long as you sold it to somebody as a primary residence.
Oh,
And so basically it was trying to get more homes on the market for first-time home buyers and people who wanted to move up and do different things. And so I don't know if it ever really took grounds. It never took off to where we could get it to happen. But yeah, so that tried, and I'm like, it would probably work. Like you would get a ton of movement there. You get a ton of investors that'll be like, I'll sell my rental property. Let's go.
that is so smart. I mean, I've always kind of tried to brainstorm about that. And I'm like, if I could just come up with an idea, but I think that is actually a serious win-win for San Diego people, because I mean, there aren't any homes available
No.
there. Like the availability there is crazy low. I don't know who to tell about it, but I'm going to.
I hate to say that as a 1031 exchange company, but make that happen. Again, we need more homes on the market just in general for people. And so like it'd be a win-win. Now, again, every year they talk about taking 1031s off the table. Like every year you'll get an email that says like 1031s are going away. It hasn't gone away in 23 years. I don't think it will, but there is always that mass panic that it could go away for that.
I mean, everybody's trying to push some fear on people to get them to do something at different times, different parts of the times of the year. Cool. What else was I going to say about, we are running low on time, but I wanted to just kind of go over real quick the different levels of service that you can do, like the a la carte thing that you helped set up for us to be able to use. Like there's this level, and this level, right?
You bet. Yep. So what we've done is we've set up both on the listing side and the buyer side too of 3 different levels of service for agents. And if anybody wants to contact me, feel free to email me. I'll email you the packet. I'll get it to Shay too. And I think he could probably post it down below. But what it is basically it's either full service. So you want us to take everything. So from the moment on the listing side, from the moment you even think you have a listing, we're setting it up in your system for you, whether it's SkySlope or Dot Loop or whatever it may be. We're setting that entirely up for you and then handling it all the way to closing. Well, then you have your next step down, which says, hey, I want to take care of the listing part and uploading my own pictures and doing all that. But I want you to take it from basically everything. Once I get it pending, you take everything from there. That's client contact. That's getting all your documents, your paperwork in there, making sure, again, your files uploaded. And then we have like the bare bones, say, hey, I just want you to handle my listing documents. Don't contact my clients. I don't want to do anything like that. Just get my invoices together and send them to the closing company. Perfect. So those are kind of our 3 tiers. We do the same thing on the buy side too. So it's, again, if you have somebody who's going to be under buyer broker agency. So that's a huge thing now, keeping track of them and then making sure that your purchase agreement's done. And so we'll handle all of your paperwork for purchase agreement. Again, all the way through closing, all the way even to ordering the closing gift. Like it's amazing how many closing agents come to closing and have never bought their client a gift, which again, some people are like, it doesn't really bother them, but it is a nice little touch. Like you could tell the people who are like, oh, my last agent didn't get me a gift. And I was like, oh gosh, like we'll see some drama there at the closing table. So we'll even handle taking care of ordering the gift for you to be able to get it to them too. So those are just kind of our 3 levels of service. Again, each one comes with a different price point, and depending on what you want to handle as an agent, we're really good about making whatever you want happen on our back end too.
I can attest to that. They're very good at personalized service and touch, which is super appreciative. What was I going to say? Along with so like for me, basically you handled helping get signatures And like stuff that I messed up, because I did a lot of the paperwork at first because we were just getting in cahoots together. And so I messed it up. Like I'm really good at, I'm bad at admin stuff, right? So I'm good at negotiating. I'm good at terms. I'm good at language. I'm good at, leverage. I'm good at all that, but I'm not good at, oops, I forgot this signature, or not signature, but maybe a initial here or a checkbox there. So, but I do want other people to be on top of that for me. And that's why in the past, I've always had great teams that work with me to help clean up the admin side of it. That's just not where my brain lies. It would take me 4 hours to fill out contracts and paperwork, where it takes 20 minutes for a normal person to do it, or a person that's good at that.
Yeah, we have what's called like short form. So we get our agents to fill out short form. So if you're going to go to a listing, it gives it, hey, here's the property address. Here's my client's names. Here's their email address. Maybe some information about the property. You fill out that short form, and we'll go in and fill out all of your listing documents for you with all the information that we have. Now, there may be some extra questions that we need to answer. We can. Same thing on a purchase agreement. You fill out the bare bones. Yeah, we're doing an as-is inspection. Like, here's the closing date that we want. We'll go in there and check all the boxes for you. Like, we realize that, again, our team is really good at checking boxes. Dotting I's and crossing T's is what our team is good at. And we just want to take care of that for you. And if you miss something, we're going to say, if you want to do the paperwork yourself, that's fine. But we do a compliance check on our back and say like, hey, you had the wrong closing date. You put 2024 and it's supposed to be 2025, which has happened quite often as we kind of head into there too. Yeah. Did you mean that you wanted to close in January of 2024? I don't think you did. And so again, we're checking all of that extra stuff to make sure that it is correct on your end.
Yeah. And that's the best. That's totally stuff that I need. And but it's a great service, so that you, even if you're wanting to do most of it yourself, you at least get second set of eyeballs on things to double check.
Absolutely.
Sure things good.
Yeah, so, I would say we're all human. We're all human. I might as well have two humans be at least help out on one thing.
100%. So we got 1 minute left. What do you think would be a good way to summarize, what you do and what your goal is?
Yeah, you bet. So I think the best way to, again, figure out what you need as an agent is we do 15-minute conversations. So again, we have a 15-minute conversation to even determine if what our services would be beneficial to you. And sometimes it's a no. And we're happy to say that, maybe your in-house staff does everything like, hey, we're not going to be beneficial to you. So why not? And so again, have that 15-minute conversation with us. And again, it's a no consult. Like it's just official consult. There's no payment. We're not required. We're not going to bombard you with a bunch of stuff after the fact, but just have that conversation with us and see if we can help you out. Even if it's the most mundane things, we're happy to do it.
That is true. And super grateful that you are doing this for agents and that you have this one-stop shop kind of place. It was so hard for me to find a company that does all of that. Yeah. And so super glad that Michelle introduced us, and super duper happy to have worked with you so far, and with just the way that you interact with people and that you're genuinely here to help and come up with ideas and solutions. So I'm glad that I know you. I'm glad that I met you, and looking forward to working with you more in the future.
Same.
And I know, and I guess I should ask, but I usually put out there that I would assume that if people have questions about these kind of things and they're not sure if you can help them or what, but you would be able to speak with them and give them education on all kinds of different topics if they just have questions and want to pick your brain.
Absolutely. I've been doing this a long time. I don't like to date myself that way, but I've been doing it a long time. So we even have people contact us about transactions that aren't even ours and say, hey, how would you fix this? Or can you help me out? We're happy to do that too. And again, we just want everybody, our core value is, again, the transactions for the betterment of all. And that includes agents, clients, everybody. Like we just really want transactions to be done right. And so again, like anything that you need, we're happy to have conversations about, even if it's not about something we're doing or you don't need our services now, we just want to make that relationship. So if you need us in the future, we're here for you.
That's awesome. That's what I love about you and love about your company. So, people can reach out to you at your email address at the bottom here. If they ever have questions, you can reach out to me. I'm always here to help on any real estate related or otherwise. I talk to people just to talk to people if they need some help in other ways. But so you can reach out to either one of us anytime. I appreciate you all for coming on the show today. And Jess, you've been an amazing, you're easy to talk to. And I like how you said that you can just get on and talk
Yeah.
forever, which is what I can do too.
If
So-
you ever don't have a guest, just say, hey, here's what we're talking about, evergreen trees. And I'll be like, okay, let's wing this. I'll figure out what I need to talk about.
I
Let's
would say,
go.
be careful. I'll take you up on that. Sometimes I need a fill-in guest, and we can shoot the breeze. So thank you all for coming. We'll see you next week for Sharpen the Saw. We do this weekly Tuesdays at 11 a.m. Central Time, and hope you all have a good week. Play a little music on the outro. I don't know if this is the same music or not,
I don't think it is, but it's still good.
but